Yeah? Let's have now you've presented your arguments. Now you have to understand how this works. Okay, Muslim people, like Christians, they have primary source materials that they go back to. Now, if I said to you, look, I've got a website, it's called I don't know, VaticanJokes.com or something like that, and look, it says this and that on the website, you would say that's not what I believe. So in order for you to have this conversation with me, you don't get it from a website, you have to get it from the authentic sources, right? The Quran or the Sunnah. That's the first thing. So the second thing is, even on that website, they're not claiming that God is the Prophet has al-awwal in the indefinite article. In the definite article, it's in the indefinite article, awwal. So even then it doesn't work. But anyway, the point is this is a
indefinite article he thought. When he said Hamid, it wasn't about the indefinite
anyway,
article.
I don't take it anyway.
All
I don't
the other names
doesn't
have to be about the indefinite definite article. On this name, it comes to indefinite definite article. Inconsistency. I took his logic.
Are you being serious, bro?
I took his logic.
He
said indefinite definite article. All the other names of Muhammad does not have a definite article, but those are attributes of Muhammad. When it comes to this name, since it doesn't have the definite article, it is not.
Where's it? What hadith? Sorry, what hadith mentions that he's the awwal?
I read it from your website.
All right, I don't care about website.
I
reject the website. I reject the website.
If you can say that all the websites that are saying 99 names of Muhammad are put up by non-Muslims,
I reject the website.
That's another story.
It's not a source.
These websites are put by Muslims, by imams.
I reject
they have rejected. So everybody here knows these websites are all rejected.
Yeah. I agree with that. Yeah, fine.
It's a deviant group. Pakistanpedia, they have declared is a deviant group.
We don't know about that, but it's false.
They're anti-Islam. They're putting up non-Islamic information to propagate Islam.
Is this your argument?
Is Pakistan putting up non-Islamic?
As you say Pakistan, it's a website.
But this is a website. It says Pakistanpedia.
Okay, is this your level of argumentation? Is this your level? Okay, is this your argument?
This is just one argument.
You're wasting my time.
Okay.
You are wasting my time.
Okay.
When you go and learn from somebody, from one of your missionary groups or whatever, when you just if you want to speak to me, then you can speak to me next. All right, fine. But let me just finish with your friend here. Look, all I'm going to say to you is this. If you want to be able to provide an argument against the Muslims, then the first thing you need to know how to do is reference the Islamic texts. Unfortunately, you have failed miserably, in being able to do so. You've got in a website, which is pakistanmedia.com, and told me that I have to believe in it. Now, I'll tell you what. I think what you should do, unless you have a voracious or robust argument that you've thought over properly and which meets the academic standard, you, my friend, are wasting my time.
Can I answer that?
Do you understand that?
Can I answer that?
Do you understand this?
Yes.
So have your final say. Hurry up.
Can I answer that?
So that when I'm done with you, your friend can be dealt with as well.
He said that all the names from that website that he agreed with, he said those are correct. What they're saying is that everything that we think that is right on that website is from Islam.
Okay.
Anything we disagree with is non-Islamic.
Are we done?
That's their logic, and they're telling me that this website, don't give me the website.
Fine.
I will take the information from this website that I agree with, because he's a Hamid, he's praised one, he's praised and this and that. All those names are correct. All this website is correct, and the website is stating these names are from Quran and from Hadith.
That's your argument?
That's my argument.
Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Goodbye, my friend. See you later, yeah?
See you.
Goodbye.
Thank you.
Please come here.
I'm back. Yada. I want to talk about Surah 65 first. Wait. What am I waiting for? Wait.
I've already spoken about that with one of your friends.
What friend? I don't know your friend.
I don't know, one of your guys from the...
I don't know who it was.
He's a Christian. Do you consider Christians to be your friends?
They can be my friends, but I don't know who you're talking about.
Okay, so one of your Christian colleagues or whatever.
Well, but I want to talk to you about it. What's wrong with it? I'm asking
I
you
have
questions.
no problem.
What's wrong with asking you a question? Can I ask you a few questions?
Yes, of course you can.
Okay.
You're shivering.
Yeah, what's wrong with that?
No,
you know your prophet shook?
Yeah, no problem.
Yeah,
but you're shivering in front of me.
shook.
Not in front of the enemy.
Right, but your prophet shook, didn't
But you're shivering in front of me.
He shook when he received revelation. I'm receiving revelation right now.
Oh, are you?
Yeah.
You better have a stronger argument than your colleague.
That's good, my friend. That's revelation.
All right, okay. Go ahead.
Anyway, let me read the verse out for you, man. Because we're just going back in tangents.
You're going back in what?
So we're going around in tangents.
Oh, okay. Going around in tangents. It's an interesting one.
Yeah. Well, you don't know what tangents mean, do you?
I do know what tangents are.
Anyway, it says here, and for such of your women, this is Surah 65 verse 4,
all right?
Yeah. And for such of women as despair of menstruation, if you doubt, their period of waiting shall be 3 months, along with those who have had it not, and for those with children, their period shall be, they bring forth their burden, and whosoever keepeth duty to Allah, he maketh his course easy. Now, the Tafsir writers confirm that this is talking about children. That verse is talking about children. Al-Jalalain says it, Ibn Kathir says it. I can list a few of them if you want me to. But what do you think about this? Do you think they're okay and correct in their translation of that?
Well, you've mentioned verse 3. Verse 4 is وَاللَّائِ لَمْ يَحِضْنِ. You didn't actually mention it properly.
The reason why I didn't mention that is solely because the tafsir writers have said this is referring to young children.
But you're mentioning verse 3, 65:3.
No, sorry. If I said, I apologize. If I said 65 verse 3, I apologize. It was 65 verse 4.
No, you just read out 65 verse 3.
Yeah. Okay. And I've just said, if I said 65 verse 3,
fine.
I apologize. I meant 65 verse 4.
Now
65 verse 4.
Thank you for apologizing.
I've already done it.
You might be doing a lot more
You
of that
can get
today.
big-headed as you want, I don't care.
That's fine, good. So
it's not really a good trait, is it, Mohammed?
It's no problem.
It's not a good trait, man.
Okay.
You need to humble yourself a bit. You know that book?
Thank you for
humbles yourself a bit?
Thank you for your advice, my friend. Thank you. No problem.
I always give advice to someone who's here to give advice.
Oh, thank you so much.
And I hope you come to Jesus, bro.
I need your barber's number so I can give him a couple of pointers and pieces of advice as well.
Do you?
The one who does your hair.
That's funny because I need somebody to deal with your hair, man. It's fine. I'm fine.
Anyway, so I'll say, look.
Okay, so
in regards to what you've said, I think there's an element.
As I've said, Al-Jalalain, Ibn Kathir, and every tafsir writer I've claimed claims that the verse in question is referring to an iddah. That iddah is the period of waiting for divorce, right?
Agreed.
And that period of waiting for divorce, 3 months, is for children as well.
I'll tell you the truth.
So your God is okay with marrying children?
Okay, no, it's fine. Let me answer your question.
What?
It's true to say that if you read the tafasir and the exegesis of chapter 64 verse 4, especially on the part where it says وَاللَّائِ لَمْ يَحِضْنِ, it does mention women that are pregnant, it does mention postpartum women, but it also does women that have never had a period before. That's true, and if someone tries to do it in card of that or reject that, then they will be...
And it mentions children as well?
Well, I'm saying women that have never had a period before.
It doesn't say women, it says children. Ibn Kathir clearly says it mentions children.
Yeah, no,
do you want me to read it out again?
No, fine.
I'll read it out to you.
I'm telling you, listen.
Allah the Exalted clarifies the waiting period of the woman in menopause, and that it is one whose menstruation has stopped due to her older age. Can I finish?
Do you know why it says women?
Can I finish?
The verse says women.
Can I finish? Can I just finish? Can I allow my place? Then you talk. I'll give you all the time in the world. Just allow it. Right. And that is one of those whose menstruation has stopped due to her old age. Her iddah, waiting period for divorce, is 3 months.
Who's iddah?
Who's iddah? This is waiting period for divorce.
No, but it says her iddah.
Her iddah.
Yeah, who's
this
her?
is referring to the woman in menopause.
Woman.
That woman. And now let me read the rest of it. Right? Her iddah is 3 months, instead of the 3 monthly cycles for those who menstruate, which is based upon the ayat in Surah Al-Baqarah. The same for the young, who have not reached the years of menstruation.
Accept.
Their iddah is 3 months. So you can marry and divorce children in Islam.
Okay, let me answer your question, right? Let me understand. First of all, the verse itself says min nisaikum, from your women,
Right.
So women is, you've asked me where the verse itself mentions women,
And this is mentioning young children, so you've got a problem with the early tafsir.
Let me ask you, yes, no, I don't have a problem with them. No.
So you don't?
No, I don't have a problem.
So when they say young child,
are you asking me a question now, or are you just going to
continue.
Alright, so let me answer your question, right? So it's true to say that...
I'll be when I'm ready.
All right. No, it's fine. It's true to say that aqdun nikah.
Right.
The aqdun nikah is a marital contract.
Right.
Can be done with anybody at any age.
Of course, yeah.
Yes? This is something which you didn't know that. But the sexual interaction...
No, I did know that, mate.
Okay, fine. Maybe you did know it. You're a great scholar of Islam.
But you go on like you're a great scholar, mate. Let's be honest.
Fine.
Let's not crack wires,
fine.
It's not helping you.
No problem.
Go on.
So what I'm saying is, scholars of Islam differentiate between two things.
Right.
They differentiate between aqdun nikah, which is a contract, and when, for example, the woman can engage in sexuality.
What scholars are these, bro?
And let me tell you what the evidence for that is.
No, what scholars are these? Are
example,
they early, like Ibn Kathir?
Yeah.
So what are they? Do you know the names?
Yes.
Can I write them down?
Yes.
Let's get the names.
Let me get you the names. For example, An-Nawawi mentions that in his Sharh of Hadith, where he mentions the hadith of why the Prophet ﷺ married Aisha. He done the aqdun nikah at the age of 6, and then he consummated at the age of 9.
What years after Hijrah is it?
Pardon?
What years after Hijrah is it?
400 and something. I don't know, 440 maybe.
Right.
Yeah, after Hijrah. I don't know exactly.
And Al-Nawawi was his name?
It's Al-Nawawi, yeah. For example, do you know who else mentions it? For example, Ibn Qudam al-Maqdisi mentions it in his book.
Ibn Qudam.
Yeah, Ibn Qudam al-Maqdisi mentions it. So basically, the Hanbali scholars. What I'm saying to you is this: it's pretty much understood in Islam that you can do a contract of marriage, but that contract of marriage is not efficacious in the fullest sense until the woman is able to consummate the marriage. And that capability, which is referred to as istita'a in the books of jurisprudence, is mentioned as, you know, physical capability. So let me explain. No, it's a good point.
Hijab, you did say
I know.
on camera
Let me explain.
If you read the Quran on its own, you could literally marry a child.
I accept.
That was your word.
I accept. So you could argue the point that it's most explicit in the hadith. Why can you argue the point that it's most explicit in the hadith? Because
it's only mentioned in the hadith.
Let me tell you why it can be alluded to in the Quran, but it's mostly mentioned in the hadith. For number one, the scholars of Islam, the jurisprudential scholars, because really you have to differentiate between the exegetes and the jurisprudence. Yeah, it's fiqh and tafsir are two different things.
So what's wrong with the exegetes?
So no, there's nothing wrong with them.
They're early.
No, what they're saying is right. What they're saying.
What's wrong with them?
No, I'm not saying there's anything wrong with them. I've not said that. All I've said is that they're saying that the contract can be done, but that it's not efficacious in the fullest sense, where intercourse between the two parties can happen until the woman is ready.
So
now, how do we know
makes
that?
this stipulation? Who makes this
So
stipulation?
they, like I said, the Islamic scholars, they deducted it from the fact that the Prophet
So Muhammad and Allah don't make this stipulation.
Yes,
right?
they do. Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam.
Where's Muhammad made that stipulation?
So as I said, they look at it from the fact, the scholars look at it from the fact that he married at the age of 6, that there was a marital contract, but that he did not do what do you call it, jima', or he did not do intercourse, so there was no intimacy until
the
3
age
years.
of 9.
Exactly.
Yeah.
So they look at that and they say, well, that's good evidence that even though no, it's not correction, it's called specification. So it's good evidence for the fact that the contract can be put in place. However, that it's not efficacious until the person becomes capable. Now, how do we know? Who determines?
Who determines whether she's capable?
Good. That's a good question.
Because there's also hadith that claim that silence means her consent.
No.
And also, we see instances within hadith. I'm not misunderstanding anything. We see instances within hadith.
How do you know?
I know because I've read it. Right?
What's the hadith?
We see instances within a hadith where Aisha's taken by Muhammad and he beats her.
Okay. Now that's a different topic.
So if a silence means
I reject that.
He obviously was.
I reject that.
You reject.
Yeah, I reject it.
So you reject hadith.
No, I reject your understanding of it. Let me go back to the first point.
So beating her till she's green is my understanding, correct?
Wallahi, if you find me any hadith that says that the Prophet ﷺ, I dare you to find one single hadith where the Prophet ﷺ beat Aisha when she's green. You're a liar. You are a liar. The fact, hold on. Second thing is, wait, let's get to Christianity in a second, yeah? But let's
we're not getting to Christianity. No. Then we'll go to Christianity.
Fine.
I don't mind.
Fine. Let's deal with Islam first, because we don't have anything to hide. I'm saying to you now, the first thing is, you stated, what is the evidence? I told you that the scholars of jurisprudence say that
100 years after the Prophet and your God, by the way.
No, I understand, but that's true. That's true. However, what's also
so there's nothing in your source. If I took the Quran alone, the Quran itself says in chapter 15, verse 1, that it is a clear book. So if I took the Quran on its own, I could literally rape a child.
No. Hold on. Let me answer your question.
Why is that funny? That's your religion.
No, fine. Let me answer your question. Calm down, guys. Calm down, guys. There's nothing to. Guys, you're interfering. You're interfering, and don't interfere, please. Yeah. Let's answer his question directly. As I've said, the hadith is that. Number 2 hadith, which is very important, is that which mentioned in Nawawi's 40 hadith as well, which is la darar wa la dirar, which is that you're not allowed to cause harm or reciprocate harm. Now, the scholars of
Sunan and Nasai, by the way. So continue. Sorry.
It's also mentioned in the 40 hadith. Okay.
No. I'm talking about the striking hadith.
I understand. Okay, it's also mentioned in Sahih Muslim. You didn't know that.
Well, yeah, you didn't know that. You said, show me where.
No,
in fact, it's even recorded.
Not green. There's nothing about greenery in hadith.
So he beat her, but nothing about green.
No, I know.
So it's okay if he beats her.
No, I didn't say that. I said that the hadith that I know you're referring to is mentioned in Sahih Muslim.
He beat his wife, basically.
Did I say that?
No. Hadith says that. I said hadith.
Well, the people are watching your disingenuity, right? I didn't say that I agree with you.
How am I being indigenous?
Speak properly. Cat got your tongue, boy.
Yeah, it has literally got my tongue.
Cat got your tongue. No, speak.
No, I'll give you that.
Speak.
Disingenuous. I wasn't being indisingenuous.
Okay, no, it's not disingenuous. It's disingenuous.
Yeah, I wasn't being disingenuous.
Okay, so your disingenuity is for all to see.
I wasn't being disingenuous.
Okay, let me clear. All right, fine, let me answer your question. Fine, let me answer your question. Are you afraid to hear my response?
I'm not afraid of your response.
Fine, let me.
I've got no response.
Okay,
go on.
Okay, I'm not afraid of my response, but I've got no response.
You've got no response.
Okay, so let me respond. My response is this: is that the scholars of Islam, they consider one of the major objectives of Islam as not to cause or reciprocate harm unless there is injunction in the text.
And who are these scholars? They're later than your prophet. So how can we know?
They base it.
How can we know at the time of your prophet?
Yeah.
If we're at the time of prophet, how can we know that those same people believe that you had to wait a certain period to have sex with a child?
Okay, they did.
Bearing in mind your own prophet.
No, we don't agree with what you just said.
Had sex with a child.
No, we
married
don't.
a child.
Listen, we don't agree with what you just said.
So you don't agree with it. That's what
let me answer your question.
Go on.
To answer your question, the scholars of Islam, they look at like a Shatibi mentions in Muwafaqat, right? He says that in order to understand an objective of Sharia, you don't look at just one piece of evidence, you look at the combined pieces of evidence. So in the case of this principle of causing or the principle of causing and reciprocating harm is not as a result, he mentions, or the principle is ad-darar yuzal, that harm is to be averted. This is a principle in Islam. Unless there's enough.
Who was that principle sent down?
No, I'm telling you.
How can we know that it was sent from Muhammad?
Okay, you asked me a question. Can I answer it, please?
Go on.
Yeah, fine.
Go on.
So Shatibi mentions in Kitab Muwafaqat that in fact principles like this are more voracious than one piece of evidence, and the reason why he says is because it combines all pieces of evidence. So, for example, in this case, there's a hadith of the Prophet Muhammad where he said himself.
Seems like a load of words.
Okay, fine. Maybe you don't understand it, but maybe
you're not bringing any points. That's the point.
So let me just say my words, and then you can say what you want. So the Prophet Muhammad he mentioned the hadith, la darar wa la dirar. There is no harming or reciprocating harm. Right. And he mentioned another hadith, la darar wa la idrar. So it's another way of saying the same thing, but with more emphasis on reciprocating the harm.
So no bringing harm. Is that no reciprocating harm?
Yeah.
So why did your Prophet harm Aisha?
I'm explaining to you that there's no evidence of that.
I just shot Sunan an-Nasai.
No, hold on.
He said, so you were the black shape that I saw in front of me. And he said, yes. Yeah. He struck me in the chest, which caused me pain. Then he said, did you think that Allah and his messenger would do unjustly with you? I said, whatever the people conceal, he knows. So Sunan an-Nasai, hadith 2039.
Okay, let me answer it.
So you've been exposed.
No, I haven't been exposed. Let me answer you.
According to Muhammad, it's okay to beat somebody.
Would you like me to answer you? All right, fine. First and foremost,
you're not helping yourself.
First and foremost, Aisha herself, who's the narrator of that hadith, mentioned in another hadith.
So that means it's wrong.
Can you let me speak?
Continue.
All right. So Aisha, who's the narrator of that particular hadith, who supposedly said he struck me in my chest and caused me harm, which I reject the translation of, because if you bring the Arabic, it's not darabani. He didn't mention that at all. The word daraba is not even mentioned in the hadith, just to let you know.
Let's just hide behind the Arabic.
It's not no, just calm down. Calm down.
Arabic.
Just let me finish. First of all, the word.
You're not bringing any points. The word. It's just like telling me Arabic.
You're not listening.
See, now you're starting. You can see what's happening here, right?
It's okay. Let him
I'm getting educated. I'm asking questions.
He's still gonna fall.
Go on. Continue. I'm shaking, Amar. Your prophet shook.
Okay. So you're trying to be disrespectful. We're not trying to be disrespectful. We're trying to.
There's hadith.
Let me deal with the points. You're going to another tangential point.
Go to the point.
First of all, the hadith inside Muslim, does not mention darabani, and I challenge you, which means hit, to strike, or whatever, which is mentioned in 434, the same word, فَضْرِبُهُنْ. That's not even mentioned in the hadith. So I challenge you to find the opposite of that. Number two,
it's not my problem.
No. And then I'll give you something which is hold on. Let me finish. Let me finish.
All right, go on,
the second thing, which is even more damning for you, is that Aisha herself. Just let me finish the point.
I know. I'm not talking.
Okay. Can you see?
I said I'm not talking.
Can you see? He's anxious. He's very anxious.
I'm really not. This is the funniest stuff.
Would you like a beta blocker?
Would you?
No, I'm all right.
I think you need one.
I'm not the one who's
You sound like a beta male right now.
Sorry?
I said you sound like a beta male right now.
Beta blocker means a propranolol. It's a drug that brings your heart rate down.
I don't need any of that, mate.
Maybe you do. Okay, look, you're shaking and quivering.
So if Muhammad shook and quivered,
only if there's an extraneous variable which substantiates the shaking.
So revelation, him sweating and shaking.
Yeah, he met God. You're meeting me.
He met God. How do you know I'm not meeting God?
He met a demon.
How do you know I haven't got God?
Muhammad met a demon.
He met God. You're meeting me.
How do you know that I'm not receiving revelation from Allah?
All right.
How do you know that I'm not receiving revelation from Allah?
Fine. Can we go to the point?
How do you know?
Can we go to the point?
No, you brought the shaking. So how do you know I'm not receiving revelation?
Listen, you're running away. You are running away.
You're the one's running away.
Okay, let me make the point.
So I'm showing your prophet shook.
Okay, no problem.
So it's no problem. Okay. So if he's not a problem, I'm no problem.
See, look how he's talking.
Okay, let's run.
Second point is that Aisha herself said the Prophet never hit one of his wives. In a hadith that's narrated upon her in Bukhari, she said that the Prophet never hit any of his wives.
So the hadiths contradict each other?
No, they don't, because the word
what do you mean they don't? He struck her.
Okay, no, let me explain. If your translation of the hadith,
it's not my translation. It's Muslims. It's not me. Okay. I didn't make this.
Well, I'm translating the hadith for you. I'm a Muslim,
is wrong. The
irrelevant. You're one Muslim.
Even this is
and there's a lot of Muslims. Wait a minute, guys. Yeah.
Even
there's many Muslims that disagree with you.
Websites are wrong. Sahih al-Bukhari is wrong.
So you're not the judge of jurisprudence.
Everyone can see the desperation in the air.
You're not the judge.
I'll let you squirm.
You're not the judge. Muhammad Hijab is not the judge of jurisprudence.
Squirm in front of me.
I enjoy
it.
Under the bus.
he's squaring.
Sahih Hadith, he just threw it under the bus.
Look how they're both squirming. How are you, sir? You okay? Are you done?
I'm not scared of you.
Are you squirming?
I'm not scared of you.
You're quivering and shaking and you're
I'm not
squirming.
scared of you.
And your guy is shouting.
Ever since I've come to this park for 2 years, and you saw me 2 years ago, all right? I've always done this. I've always done this.
Everything in
Around
Islam is
everybody.
false.
And it's recorded. So
Just
I'm not
throw
scared
it
of
under
you.
the bus.
We're not all scared of you. Maybe these
Throw
are,
Islam
I'm not
under
scared
the-
of you.
No problem. Are we done here?
So continue with your point.
So my point is 3 steps. That is just to answer your question. Yeah. If your point is that if you look at the Quran alone, without reference to the Hadith, can you justify intercourse with prepubescents, or would you have a stronger argument? I say you would have a stronger argument without the Hadith, but we don't accept the Quran without the Hadith. That's why we look at the Quran and the Hadith.
So there's no Quran, only
upon doing so,
What hadith says that you cannot have sex?
that's not how the Hadith works. Just to let you know. No,
So no Hadith says that you cannot have sex with a minor.
No, hold on.
So
You
Hadith
said
doesn't say
according to the
that.
hadith we cannot have sex with children. That's what you said.
No, what I'm saying is the Hadith works in the following way. It's not just like it. You have to have, for example, a saying. So the actions of the Prophet are also considered to be something that we the Muslims follow. The sayings of the Prophet, the iqrar of the Prophet, or what the Prophet affirms or doesn't affirm. This is what
So we can interpret our own traditions the way we want, and if we don't like something, we'll just reinterpret it.
No, I mean, even you accept
That's
the same.
your religion.
Hold on.
That's your religion.
Calm down,
Your
man.
religion's back.
Calm
Go
down.
on,
So
continue.
anyway, well, now you have to be disingenuous, right?
I'm being disingenuous. That's just the same old
no
argument again.
problem.
and again. It's
So-
not disingenuous.
so now
you
that
don't
we're-
interpret your religion
Just
how
to-
you
just
want,
to sum-
and anybody who says it's paedophile is wrong and a Catholic. So
Okay,
anyway.
just to summarize the point, yeah, we've said, you asked the question
Yeah, go on.
about chapter 65, verse 4. I did not negate the fact that some scholars of exegesis and hermeneutics have said in the past that this refers to prepubescence.
The ink of the Ummah, Ibn Abbas said it.
And listen,
It is called the ink of the Ummah for a reason.
Sorry?
The ink of the Ummah.